Alright, so we're working on Sharkey today. We're gonna go ahead and do some corrections here to go ahead and get him ready for the next steps, which will be fine details. So kind of the way we're gonna attack this today is to just kind of start at the nose here, making any corrections that we need to make, and then just travel along down to the tail until we've got everything looking just the way we need it to. So we'll just go ahead and start right out with the nose here. First thing is your nose actually should be kind of like a little rectangle shape. And if you take a look at the book as well, you can use that for reference when you're not sure how something should look. Should be kind of a little cluster of 8 squares right in here, and you've got kind of the bones of it. Just a matter of moving things around a little bit. So I'm going to go into vertex mode. And I'm just going to pull these guys in a little bit. Right? So they're kind of more in line with these ones underneath them. And same here with these guys out on the edge here. Just trying to make kind of a rectangle shape. Okay? So something like that. When you do something like that, a good way to straighten things out is to grab everything that's in a row like this, these 3 for example, and you can just use your scale tool and just bring it in just like that. And that will drastically straighten out your lines, okay? So we'll do that again. We'll just... Oh. So you might notice my lines look a little funny. And the reason that is because I have a strange setting on my scale tool. Anytime you see anything weird going on with any of your tools, just come up here to the upper right hand corner, and there's this little button here that looks like a bulleted list and a wrench. Just click on that. You can bring up your tool settings, so depending on which one of these axes that you have it set to, your tool will behave differently now. This one I'm going to go ahead and do world. And it looks like I had it at world before, so it actually is straightening out. It's just the angle that I'm looking at it at because of shaping. It just looked a little off, but everything looks fine there. So again, we'll just keep doing that with these little guys and just straighten them out. So we get nice, pretty lines. Okay. And if it helps, of course, you can look at this in other views as well and just really zoom in on this. Sometimes it can be a little more confusing this way, depending on whether or not you have X-ray on. So in this case, I would go ahead and turn off X-ray. And to do that, you just come up here to shading and hit X-ray to uncheck it, and that way I'm not seeing all the stuff behind it. So a good thing to do here also on this little nose area is to try and make the spacing as even as you possibly can. Okay? Something like that. You don't want anything to be kind of higher or lower than other things. Okay, sometimes your tool will kind of get in the way of clicking, so you might just have to zoom in a little bit. Just kind of even things out there. Alright, so it should look something like that. Now another thing you might notice is that we have all these vertices in the middle here, but there are no edges connecting them, okay? We never want just floating vertices with no edges connected. It causes a lot of problems later on in production. So we want to make sure that we have a line that continues through all of these, okay, and goes all the way in a loop around the shark. Now we have kind of the beginnings of that right here. We have this line coming in towards the nose, and then it just kind of just goes off into nowhere, and we've got that floating vertex there that doesn't have an edge on one side. Alright, and then we've got all these guys. So the way that we have Sharkey set up, we actually want this line to come down through the nose and right through the center right here, and then back over to the other side and connect right there, okay? So we're going to go ahead and address that. We'll just grab both of those and just bring them down, okay? Now, you might see me doing a lot of stuff using hotkeys. It's just something you get used to as you work in Maya more and more. You'll start using the hotkeys a lot, so you might not see me actually clicking on my move, scale, and rotate tools. Just using the hotkeys for them. And if you want a reminder of that, it is W to open up your move tool or translate tool, and E to open your rotate tool, and it's going to be R for your scale tool. Okay, so that's what's happening there. So just always remember to try and keep your spacing nice and even. You want Sharky to be comprised mostly of square shapes, okay? So you don't want, like, for example, you don't want this little tiny gap right here and then this big long edge right here, okay? You just want everything to stay kind of like a grid, just evenly spaced as much as you can, alright? So let's go ahead and bring this line in over through the nose and back out the other side, okay? So to do that, make sure you're in your polygon menu. You might notice up here right now I have some different buttons than you might be seeing. It's just because I'm in my rendering menu right now. So if you're ever in a different menu and you need to get back, just come up to this little area right up here, and you'll just click on that little drop down arrow. And in this class we're going to be working pretty much exclusively with the polygons menu, at least for a while. So make sure you're on your polygons menu, and we're going to come up to edit mesh, and we're going to use a tool called the interactive split tool. Alright, so just give that guy a click. Now, and what it comes up with is this little kind of orange dot everywhere. And so what you'll want to do, this is actually going to allow you to cut these faces, alright, and create new edges there. So we'll just grab that little corner right there, where the edge just kind of stops, and then once you've clicked on that, it's going to give you this orange line, where you can then choose where you want to connect this edge to. So I'm going to connect it right there, okay? And I'm just going to bring it across. You don't have to be super accurate with that. And just click right there on that final edge. And then once we're all done, we're going to go ahead and hit enter on the keyboard to finalize it. Alright. And unfortunately with this tool, it does have some issues still. So you might notice that even though I drew my line nice and pretty across here, it didn't like that really weird polygon. So it went ahead and cut it over across here instead. And you know, that's just one of those quirky things about Maya. It will do that sometimes. But we can fix it. Alright, so that's what we'll do. Let's go ahead and try that one more time. We'll do an interactive split tool. And this time what I'm going to try and do instead is just come up here to the nose, and I'm going to try and bring that polygon right down there, okay? Oops. Hit enter. Okay, so that time I didn't have a problem with that. Alright, we'll do the same thing on the other side while we're at it. Edit mesh, interactive split tool. We'll just grab that right there, bring it down, and hit enter, okay? So as we're kind of splitting the polygon into smaller sections, it's going to start behaving a little more normally. Usually there's one or two problem polygons that are causing issues. So we'll try this again, where we just bring it right across, okay? And you see now we're not having that same issue, okay? So let's do it again. On the other side, Edit Mesh, Interactive Split Tool. I'm going to grab that middle part of the nose right there and just bring it across. Connect it right there. Okay. Now, while we were doing that, we may have actually missed some of our vertices in here and kind of added extra vertices where we don't actually want them. So to remedy that, just make sure that you go into vertex mode. So, you can see right here where, I've kind of missed the mark and I've got a whole bunch of vertices there and they're not connected. So we want to make sure that we fix that before we move on. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We can come up to Edit Mesh and we're going to use our Merge Vertex tool. And you can click on this little option box on the side to bring up that tool menu. For this, we've only got two options. We can either merge to the target vertex, meaning that when I click and drag a vertex, I'll show you here, the one I click first will automatically merge with the second one that I drag it to, and it will just migrate to the place where that vertex was. Okay, if I put it as center, it doesn't matter which one I click and drag, first or second, they will actually merge and meet in the exact location that's the center location between the two vertices. So merge right in the middle of those. I like to do target vertex. Obviously, different times call for different tool settings, but that one will work for us for now. So, obviously when I did that split the first time when it was not happy with that, some pretty weird stuff happened right here and we got this kind of strange polygon. It's pretty easy to fix. We can just click and drag this vertex over to the one underneath it, and that's going to get rid of that. Okay, so it's a nice square shape now. Alright, so now that we've got our geometry a little bit more in line, let's go ahead and bring this part of the nose forward so we have that nice blunt square nose shape going on. So I'm just gonna grab this from the front and just re-straighten these little guys now that I've put them in there. So they're nice and organized. So they look good from the front, but from the side we can see they're all slanting backwards. So we'll just take a look at them from the side now. Okay, so again, we can use the scale tool to straighten these guys out so they're all kind of in the same place. And even though technically you're following the curve of the shark really well there, for this part we're actually going to deviate a little bit and just bring this forward into kind of a blunt nose shape. Okay? A little strange, but what we're doing. And we'll just bring that down so that the center line really should kind of line up with the tip of the nose there. Okay? Now another thing that you might notice is we've got some verts up here, but we don't have any down here. Alright, there's nothing going through there, so that's a bit of a problem for us. So let's go ahead and complete that loop, because we just have these guys on the top and then they just kind of stop right here. So let's bring that all the way around, and to do that we can just go ahead and we can do this a couple different ways. I think we've already kind of messed around with the interactive split tool a little bit. Let's try our insert edge loop tool instead this time. Okay, let's just whoa. Okay, so I've been using my insert edge loop tool to do some crazy stuff. So again, it's just a matter of tool settings there. So I'm going to grab that tool again. Yours probably is not going to be set up like that. Alright, but you may want to open that little toolbox and double check. Okay, so what we want this set to is just relative distance from edge for now. Okay, and then we can just click on this little edge right here, and it's going to try and bring it around as far as it can. The reason that it's so important to have geometry that's all four-sided is specifically for this tool. It's going to run a loop all the way around the model until it finds a polygon that does not have four sides, and then it's going to stop, okay? So obviously this polygon right here, before we added the edge loop, it had 1, 2, and then this was also one side, so 3, 4, and 5 sides. Okay, so it stopped right there. It didn't know what to do anymore. So when we're adding things in, like our art director will come in and say, hey, that's an awesome shark. Now I want you to add 4 more fins on there. You're gonna be kicking yourself if you don't have quadded geometry, because you'll need to add in edge loops to modify your geometry really quickly, and if you've got all these strangely shaped polygons, it's going to be stopping everywhere, and you have to manually go in there and fix things, okay? So, just something to keep in mind when you're modeling. So let's go ahead and connect that, since our edge loop didn't make it all the way around. So we'll come up here to Edit Mesh, and we'll use our interactive split tool again. And we'll just split that right there. We'll hit the Enter key to complete that. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Enter. Again, I'm just using hotkeys to do that. G is the hotkey to go ahead and perform the last action or open the last tool that you just used, okay? So, you know, if you're wondering why I'm not coming to the menu every time, I'm just hitting G to do the last thing I was doing. Okay, so now that we've added that in there, it's there, but it's not actually providing any shape at all. I mean, like this, for example, is completely flat. If you take a look at the edge here, it's totally flat, so it's not actually helpful. So we need to make sure that anytime that we add some geometry or an edge loop, that we're actually using it to help shape our shark. Otherwise, there's really no point for us to put it in there in the first place. So before we get too into it, let's just go ahead and straighten these edge loops out using our scale tool, okay? So that they're nice and even and easy to work with. So just straighten that out, okay? And we'll just go ahead and do this one while we're at it too, alright? Just straighten that out just like that. Now that we've got that, we can just marquee select these verts and just move them into position to keep that nice smooth shape going for Sharky. Just want to make sure that all your lines are nice and smooth and you don't have any sudden jagged turns, okay? So this looks really nice from the side now. Make sure that you're always checking things from other angles as well, okay? So, you know, take a look at it in 360 view. You know, we can see kind of there's some weird stuff going on right at the top here. So make sure we look at it in the top view as well. So, you know, it's not following quite as well in the top view. Like for example, we've got these guys on the edge here that are kind of separated from each other. So we'll want to bring those in using our scale tool so that they're nice and even. Of course, you'll always want to do the same thing on the other side. And once they've evened out a little bit, we can use our scale tool to just kind of move these into place so that they're, again, creating that nice curved edge for Sharky. We just want to kind of follow that guideline as well as we can, you know, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but we want to follow it pretty closely. And it's a good rule to check your spacing up at the top here as well. You might notice right now that we've got kind of these really big long rectangles here. We've got a lot of space, and then these little short kind of square looking ones right in here, these faces, okay? So you'll want to take all of these and just even it out a little bit so that you've got kind of equal space on both sides of these polygons. They should be roughly the same size, okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and we've kind of dealt with these first few loops here. Alright, and we're kind of to the part where the mouth is right here. The bottom lip, okay? So one thing you might notice in the textbook is that Sharky's mouth is actually, the lower lip here actually comes in quite a bit, okay? It's a nice rounded jaw shape, okay? Because obviously, you know, sharks, I guess, usually don't have totally square jaws. Or at least ours doesn't. So we're going to bring this in quite a bit, okay? So just grab all those guys. And we're just going to pull them way in, right? Something like that. I'm going to pull those in a lot. And then we'll want to grab our next row here. And sometimes it helps to grab these from the side, for example. And again, this is kind of uneven. It's going at kind of a slanted angle, so we'll just want to scale those to bring them back in line with each other. All right. Now that we've grabbed them all, we can bring them in, okay, to keep a nice rounded shape there. So if you take a look at Sharky from the top, you should get this dark area right here. This is actually kind of indicating the lower jaw, and it should be just kind of a nice curve, just like that. All right, that's what you're looking for with that lower jaw area. So it's looking good from the side, it's looking good from the top, looks fine from this angle as well, just looking around, okay. Looks good from the front. You know, you just want to make sure that you're checking all angles here, okay, with every loop. Alright, so let's go ahead and move back a little more, and we've got this area right here. Again, it's kind of wobbling, so we'll just want to bring it in line. We'll move things around a little bit just so they kind of line up with our guide. You know, this looks alright, it's right there. This is looking pretty good too. Our spacing looks fine, our curves are pretty smooth. So, you know, everything looks pretty good from the side there, as far as that's concerned. Let's check it out from the top. Okay, so we might want to move that up just a little bit. That one looks fine. So right here is where we kind of run into some weird problems. We can kind of see we've got this nice curve that's coming out here, and then all of a sudden it's just coming right in, just like that, and then going back out again a little bit. So we want to make sure that we straighten that out. Just scale those guys out so you find kind of a happy center line in between the outside and the center of the shark. It should just, this line should be coming just kind of right down the center of that area, okay? And while we're here, you know, even though generally we kind of move like one line at a time from the nose of the shark to the tail to kind of stay organized, you know, when you're seeing something like this where, you know, it's pretty obvious what needs to be done to follow this line and keep it smooth, we can go ahead and just do that right now and just kind of move back a little bit and just get this kind of into shape where we want it to be from the top here at least. So we'll just kind of even out these lines here, just using our scale tool, okay, as much as we can. Just gonna bring that guy in a little bit. So we just want to have this nice smooth curve that travels along Sharky's body. All right, so I'd say it's looking pretty good from the top there. Grab this one and pull it out a little bit. Let's take a look from the side. You know, we already checked that out and that looks good. This one also looks really nice from the side. Everything looks fine. So after that, we kind of come into this pectoral fin area here, or the beginnings of it at least, and we've got kind of a wobbly line here. We've got it starting up here, and then kind of swooping down back over to where the pectoral fin is beginning there, and then coming back forward again. Now, you know, that's not really too bad. Probably won't hurt anything, but we could straighten that line out just a little bit at least. So let's kind of grab a few of these guys right here on the bottom, and we'll just come into our side view and just straighten those out a little bit, right? We can just bring them back so they're kind of back in line with everything the way we want them to be. And this one, you know, that's kind of curving, you know, it's not too bad, and we can just go ahead and leave it right there the way it is, okay? Let's take a look at the back here as well, okay? Just the back of the fin. Before we actually get into the fin itself, we'll just look into these kind of body lines here. So again, we've got kind of a jaggy line going on. We've got it starting here, going forward into the back of the fin, and then it's coming back more, forward, back, forward. So we've got this lots of zigzagging going on. So let's also go ahead and grab those guys and just bring them in. And then we can just adjust that position of all of them, just like that. And it's going to give you a much cleaner, smoother line, alright? We can even bring this forward a little bit too to just kind of alleviate the zigzagginess of that line right there, okay? So, you know, the fin, where it's connecting to the shark body there is looking pretty good. We could even stand to move this forward a little bit, actually, because it looks like fin is starting right about there. Okay. And again, anytime that you're moving something, just be aware of what it's connected to, and try and avoid creating any zigzaggy lines if you can. Make sure you're still, of course, always following that nice baseline there. Alright, so that's looking pretty good as far as the joint there where the fin connects to Sharky's body. At least from the side, it looks pretty good. Let's take a look at it from the top for a moment here. Let's see how those connections are looking. And, you know, it's not going to match up perfectly, just because it may look a little different from the top in our image, our reference image. So what we can do though, you know, obviously, like for this example, it's kind of coming out further than our lines there are, and this one is coming out a little further too. What we can do to kind of alleviate that is we can move this in a little bit, okay, so we do have something kind of lined up a little better. Of course, if we move that in, we're going to have to move other things as well, just to maintain spacing, right? And this is just kind of a method of just a simple using our scale and move tool to just shape the fin here and follow our guidelines. You'll just want to kind of adjust things till you feel like the spacing is pretty even and the guides are being followed as best as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. So maybe something like that. Okay. So now we've got this really nice curve just following the shape of the fin there. Okay, and just coming really nicely into the side of the body there. Now I'm not going to do that on the other fin right now, because I think you get the idea, and then it'll be up to you to go ahead and go over to the other fin and go ahead and adjust everything there, okay? So we've got it looking nice from the top, and, you know, as far as we know, it looks okay from the side here. Everything's lining up more or less. The other direction that we need to take a look at it from is from front. We can see a lot of wobbling going on here, so it's pretty choppy. I mean, it starts out thinner here and gets thicker and thinner and then thicker, and it's just a little bit all over the place. So to deal with that, let's go ahead and grab shading up here, okay? Grab our shading menu, and we're going to turn on X-ray again, so that we can see our guide a little better, okay? So, right now you can see we're kind of way off of our guide. Everything's coming out much too large, and just kind of not quite in the right place. So, again, we'll just want to use our scale tool and our move tool as much as we need to just bring these lines into place. So we'll scale it down and just move it into place, just like that. Scale it down, and we'll move it into place. This one, it looks like the shaping has gotten a little away from us here. It's kind of over here and over here. So we'll want to use our scale tool to bring all of those into one single line, just straight up and down, just like that. Then we'll just want to scale it in, move it. This one, it's okay that these aren't in line because this is actually the tip of the fin, and it's a bit of an oddly shaped area, so we can leave those guys out of line actually. We'll just scale it down just like that. So our fin is looking pretty nice from the front now, and we know it's looking nice from the top. Looks pretty good from the side. So what we should have now is a much improved version of our fin, okay? So this is nice and clean and smooth and sharp looking, right? As compared to our other one over here, which is a little bit bulky and kind of wobbly, alright? So you'll want to make sure that you have something looking pretty much like that. Let's take a look at our dorsal fin area. A couple little things here on the front, that you might notice right away is that this is kind of going straight up and this is kind of jutting out and coming back in. So we'll want to even that out quite a bit, if we can. Now, the way this one's working right here is actually, not too bad for the shape. The only problem is when we kind of get to the bottom here and it's has this sudden jut inwards. So we can actually bring that out, and that can work to our advantage. We can use that kind of shaping to give our dorsal fin the look that it's got a thicker base and it thins as it comes up to the top here. So we can just kind of make that a little more uniform on both sides to fix the look of that. Alright. Something like that. It's not perfect, but, shark is a organic creature, so it doesn't have to always be perfect. Now, you might notice right here, there's kind of a flickering going on this particular face. If we go into face mode here, you'll notice when I'm hovering over one face, it seems like two faces are lighting up. That's actually a face that's on top of a face right now. So anytime that we have two faces in the same place, we're gonna have problems. And Maya's not gonna know what to do with that and how to render it. So we need to definitely address that. We also, you might notice, have this extra edge loop coming out around Sharkey here and going up into the dorsal fin and up into this area where we're having problems. So I'd say before we touch these faces up here, let's go ahead and get rid of that extra edge loop, okay? So if you want to highlight it like I just did, you could just grab any edge in this loop and double click it. And it's gonna go ahead and highlight the entire edge loop. And we don't want to just hit delete, because if we do, it's actually going to leave all these little verts behind, these floating vertices, okay? We don't want those guys. So make sure you come up to Edit Mesh and go down to Delete Edge / Vertex. That'll get rid of all the vertices that are associated with that edge, okay? As well as the edge. So we clean that up a little bit. You know, it's not so crazy now. Our back geometry here is looking a little more like the front. We don't have all that extra stuff going on. If we take a look at the bottom here too, it also looks pretty clean. So now the issue again kind of becomes this top area where we've got these overlapping faces happening. Now the first thing to kind of try is to just move these around a little bit and see kind of what you're dealing with, where these faces are coming from, what they're attached to. Yeah, and it may just be an issue of some geometry getting kind of folded the wrong way and mixed up. And in this case, it seems like that's probably what's going on. Let's see. Bear with me as I kind of separate these guys out and move them around and see what's what. Okay, so a lot of times you'll actually see these kind of problems continue to the faces around them. So you'll pull one out and you'll suddenly notice that there's another one having a problem as well that's next to it. Alright, so that's kind of the case here, where every time I pull one of these guys out, it's connected to another little problem area. Alright? So it's kind of up to you to assess the best way to fix these areas. If you think it's something pretty simple that you can just kind of fix with moving a few verts around, then go for it. I'd say in this case, it's a little more complex, the problem that we're seeing here. So for this one, it would probably be easiest to actually just delete the faces that are causing us problems here and just rebuild that section. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab any faces that seem kind of weird or out of place and just go ahead and delete them. Okay, so that includes these little guys around the side here. Just gonna get rid of those guys. So we have this nice little gap here. Make sure that you go into vertex mode after you've done that and pull these verts around a little bit, because even after you've deleted the faces that you can see, there may be some hidden faces left over, so you always want to double check and make sure that you've got all of those weird little faces that are hanging out there. Okay, so we got everything in one shot. Pretty good. I'm going to actually leave that little gap open there for now, and we're going to go ahead and address the geometry issues that we have with the fin and shaping. That way when we go to close this hole, everything will already be shaped nicely and we won't have to readjust verts that are in that hole. Okay, so let's take a look at it. First we'll look at it from the side here and see, how is our fin shaping up from the side? How does it look? We're just gonna check, make sure that everything's kind of following the curves that it needs to be following. and looks pretty good from the side until you kind of get to the top here, and that's where things get a little crazy. So we'll want to bring stuff in where we can, okay? Sometimes it helps to look from this angle as well, okay? So we want to make sure that they're lined up, not only in our X direction, but in our Y direction as well, okay? So we'll come in here and line those guys up, and we'll grab these ones, alright? These two belong to the kind of center line of the dorsal fin. We'll also line those up with each other. Okay, they should be right direct in a straight line. Then we'll grab these last three right at the top of our opening. And we'll line those guys up as well using our scale tool. So it should look something like that, okay? Now, it looks really nice from the side, but we should also, of course, check from the front, right? And also the top. So let's look at it from the front first. Okay, so we can see pretty clearly that our fin seems to be following the shape pretty well, or outline, on one side here, while on the other side it's pretty dramatically coming over and not really following that kind of curved shape, okay? The one thing that I notice over here on this side is just kind of this little guy right here sticking out. We'll want to bring that out a little bit, okay? And this one as well. Okay. So let's go ahead and try and follow that curve if we can, okay? So we're just going to grab these guys. What I'm going to do is actually move things over quite a bit to just kind of try and line them up as best as I can with that center line there, okay? We want it all to follow our fin outline. And just be nice and centered. And it's, you know, it's gonna look a little weird at first, but it'll get there. So now that we kind of did that top of the fin area, let's double check it in this view and make sure things are looking okay. They're looking a little weird. So we'll make sure that we kind of adjust things individually. Just grab a few things at a time. That's kind of where I left off there. You just want to make sure things are kind of lining up. We'll just continue downwards, trying to line things up a little bit. You don't have to be perfect when you're just first adjusting these things. You just kind of want to get a general idea of where they need to be going. Okay. I'm trying to keep that shaping. Keep your center line. Now, while I was doing that, I was actually also grabbing the tail, which is alright, because we actually want that to be centered too, but you want to hang on to that for later. Okay, so let's double check this again and kind of see how it's looking. It's looking a little bit better, you know. Still could be better. Actually, right here. You can see this kind of area right here is still not really centered, so we can center that. It looks like our whole shark actually is a little bit off center at the moment. Okay, that can be a bit of a problem later on, but it's something that we can kind of address once we get ready to use that center line. Just try and keep everything as centered as you possibly can. So I'm gonna move this over as well, just to keep that center line going. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it right there for now. Okay. So yeah, again, our shaping is looking a little bit better. We can always come in here manually as well. And if we don't like the look of something, we can adjust it a little bit. It doesn't have to be totally precise. We just want it to be pretty well centered and following some nice curves. Okay, so something like that. And of course, we'll want to make sure that this back part is thinner than our center line that's coming up through here, and that the front is thinner than this center line. Okay. So these are things that you can just adjust just by kind of looking at Sharky and seeing where things need to be moved. Move these guys in a little bit. Alright, so the dorsal fin is looking a lot cleaner now. We just need to patch up that little gap that we left. Okay, so to do that, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to extrude these edges here, okay, and just pull them out and connect them to these verts here, okay, at the ends of the gaps. Alright, so just grab both of those edges right there where the gap begins. We're going to go to Edit Mesh. We're going to hit Extrude. And we're just going to pull these out a little bit. Just pull them up. Now, when you do an extrusion like this, you want to make sure that these faces that you're extruding are actually connected. So go to your Edit Mesh menu and make sure that this Keep Faces Together is checked, alright? Otherwise you're going to have some problems later on down the road. So we're actually going to extrude one more time. Okay, I just pressed the G key to repeat the last thing I did, so it's extruding again. I'm just going to bring that right down there. We don't have to line it up perfectly, it's fine, because we're just going to merge those vertices to the target vertices, okay? So we'll go to Vertex mode. We're going to come up to Edit Mesh, Merge Vertex Tool, and we're just going to click and drag these verts that are on the edges here to the edges that we have of the gap, okay? And the same here, we're just going to close this off just by dragging those verts. It's just kind of like sewing it up, okay? So once we've done that, we can go ahead and hit Q to quit that tool, alright, our Merge Vertex tool. Otherwise, if you don't hit Q, you might accidentally merge some more verts without meaning to. And now our dorsal fin is all nice and pretty and just how we want it, okay? So we've got this extra edge sitting right here, so let's just go ahead and get rid of it, okay? So we'll go to Edge mode and just double click this edge. We'll come out to Edit Mesh, delete Edge/Vertex to get rid of those extra vertices as well. And let's just space this out a little bit. Actually, you know what? It looks like we have two extra edges, so we'll get rid of that one as well. So there's another one. And again, we'll just Edit Mesh, delete Edge/Vertex. Alright. And once we've done that, let's go ahead and kind of move these guys around a little bit. Alright. I'm just going to bring that one forward a little bit. I'm going to bring this one forward a little bit as well. And you know, I don't actually have the book in front of me just at the moment, so my spacing may be a little bit off here. You'll definitely want to take a look in the book and double check your spacing on Sharkey as compared to the spacing here, okay? This is just kind of a general idea of where things should be, okay? So one more thing that we kind of want to look at from the side here is that we've got these nice curves coming out, and they kind of dip in a little bit, don't follow that smooth line as well, so you want to make sure to always be checking for that kind of thing and adjusting as you go, right? Make sure curves are staying smooth and that your spacing is staying even. Okay, looking good from the side. Check out the top here. Alright, so you might, again, notice something a little weird happening here, right at these edges. Okay, you'll notice kind of these black faces. This is probably just a problem of these verts being actually outside of Sharky's body there. They're just a little too far out. We should just bring them in, and that resolves kind of the issue that's going on there. What was happening was just that these polygons right here on the edge were kind of overlapping themselves, alright, and they were folding in crazy, impossible ways. So we just bring those in, and everything's nice and happy and normal again. Again, same thing on the bottom here. Got the same thing going on. So you just want to bring those guys in. Okay. And you may also want to grab these as well and bring them in a little bit. So we're not quite to the point of rounding Sharky out yet so much. Alright, so we're keeping things pretty blocky. Right down here, again, you'll notice kind of these black and gray sort of weird faces. Getting a lot of noise on those, so that's just another case of more polygons that are overlapping themselves. So you actually want to bring these in. They're just kind of folded inside out. Just bring those in. and that will turn all the polygons to face the correct direction. Okay, so let's kind of look up the length of the tail here, and everything looks pretty hunky-dory there. We'll also double check the bottom of the tail, which again looks very nice from all angles. So that's pretty much it. That's all you need to adjust for Sharky. Make sure that you go in and do that, and make sure you grab this other fin and kind of fix it the way we fixed this fin over here as well. Don't forget that. So go ahead and make those changes and turn it in. And once you've done that, I'll go ahead and give you the green light to add some details to Sharky, and we'll get you going. You won't lose any points or anything in the long run. As long as you go ahead and fix Sharky up in the way described, you're still totally eligible to earn full points for this assignment. So that's all today, and thanks for watching, and happy modeling!